following announcement has been paid for by the new Howl Order.
Whether the team is giving us the highest of highs or the bluest of blues, cover it all here. Commanders Nightly News. I, of course, am your host, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. Let's get to tonight's lead story. So the Commanders continue to make front office moves and personnel moves. This is more of a personnel move than it is a front office move. They try to move the organization into the 21st century. It kind of feels like Washington's kind of been lagging behind in the technology department, in the cutting edge department. You know, Ron Rivera would always mention analytics like it's new and it's cutting edge, you know, and when he talks about analytics, it always reminds me of just how far behind we are with the times. And so as Josh Harris, you know, continues to get assimilated into the role of owner of the Commanders, he continues to make small moves and changes before the big ones happen this offseason. He's already brought in Eugene Shin to really bolster the analytics department. And, you know, now he's helping with sports nutrition and wellness. And so he brings in Tim McGrath, a guy with a background that he thinks will serve this team well. Maybe give them an advantage that they've lacked. We've dealt with injuries. We've dealt with a number of different things that have kept this organization as one of the bottom feeders in the NFL. And look, I don't know if any of this stuff is going to work, but guess what? We know what doesn't work, the shit that we've been doing. So I'm open to just about everything that's new, fresh, different, innovative. And so Nikki Javala had a series of tweets that kind of introduced us to Tim McGrath and kind of gave us a little bit of a window as to why Josh Harris made this move. So let's take a look at these tweets from Nikki Javala. So shout out to Nikki Javala once again for providing us. I told you she and John Keim, I think, do the best jobs of covering this team and kind of keeping us abreast of all the things that are going on. Not to say that the other beat reporters don't do a really good job, but I think those two are really good at keeping us as fans abreast of all of the things that are taking place. So her first tweet writes, "The Commanders have brought in Tim McGrath as a consultant on player wellness and sports science. He will assist the team in evaluating their athletic training, strength and conditioning, nutrition, and player wellness operations." Next tweet from Nikki. McGrath is the clinical research director for Pitch Ready, a company that specializes in pre-injury reduction strategies and return to sport testing. So let me stop right there. Essentially, it's like preventative maintenance, right? When you get a vehicle, they always tell you, hey, make sure you're doing your preventative maintenance. It's a lot easier to go in and get your oil change and get your tires rotated and all of that good stuff versus having to get you an alignment and having to change out, you know, spark plugs and all kinds of different things that may have gone wrong with the car because you haven't taken care of the little stuff, you know. So pre-injury reduction strategies is essentially preventative maintenance. And return to sport testing. So, you know, how to get guys back on the field after they've had an injury, right? His expertise on this point of emphasis as his supporting the Commanders' operation. So, essentially, he won't be the point man, but he will be a voice that will have some say-so. He will have a little bit of power within the organization in terms of this particular department. Again, he's not the strength and conditioning coach, but he will be assisting the strength and conditioning coach, whomever that guy or gal is. And Nikki finally writes, owner Josh Harris has said multiple times that analytics and sports science can give a team an edge. On the analytics side, he recently hired Eugene Shin as Senior Vice President of Football Strategy, and now he hires Tim McGrath as a consultant on player wellness and sports science. So again, you see Josh Harris slowly but surely putting little footprints on the organization as a whole. And I'll talk about this when you get changes like the ones that we're about to embark upon. understand that big changes are coming. Things like this are going to happen, and you're going to see a lot of changes taking place. And these are just a few of the small ones that it may not make a big difference to us now, but, going forward, these guys may be very impactful. Eugene Shin has already had an impact on this organization. He was one of the leading voices on the trades that Washington made, including Montez Sweat and Chase Young. So he's already having an impact as Eugene Shin. And I think you'll see Tim McGrath next year have some input on these players. And his role will probably start as soon as this offseason. As we get into the offseason programs and all the work that they'll be doing, he'll probably be front and center for all of that stuff. So, yeah, another small move. Again, we don't know how impactful it'll be, but it can't hurt, right? It's brand new, and he feels like this will give us an edge. I'm all for it. Let's see what happens. Welcome aboard, Tim McGrath. So we go to in other news, and we had some roster moves made by the Commanders today. Jamin Davis was officially placed on IR. We talked about that yesterday. They didn't make it official yesterday, but they made it official today, but they announced it yesterday. Also, Washington placed tight end Curtis Hodges on IR, which he hasn't played a single game this season. I told you guys when he was on the injury report with a back injury, I was like, I mean, okay, does it really matter? We haven't seen this guy all year. We don't even know what this guy can do, When he made the roster, we were pissed off. Like, why are you keeping this guy? And Ron gave us some cockamamie excuse as to why they were keeping him. And he hasn't played a single game. And we've had injuries to the tight end position, and he still hasn't seen the field. So, at the end of the day, he's been placed on IR. And my guess is we'll never see him in a Washington Commanders uniform. He was a Ron Rivera, Martin Mayhew guy, and I don't think he's going to be here next year when they turn this roster over. But, again, we will see. In his place, they promoted someone else. I'm blanking on the exact player that Sadiq Charles took his place. That's who it was. The defensive end Pryor took Jamin Davis's place, and Sadiq Charles was activated in place of Curtis Hodges. So Sadiq Charles is officially back. The 21-day window was opened Monday, and now he's been activated off of IR, and he will suit up and play on Sunday. Now, the reports are Sadiq will not start. Okay, he will not start. Chris Paul will continue to start at left guard. However, Sadiq will be worked back in, and maybe eventually will take over full time. Maybe they'll be platooning back and forth. I really don't know what the hell they're going to do at this point. Just don't F it up. Just don't have my man Sam running for his life. That's all I really truly care about. So let's get to the injury report since we're talking about player movement and transactions by the team regarding the roster. Let's talk about the roster itself for the upcoming game on Sunday in the injury report for both teams, the final one as we prepare for our Week 15 contest versus the Los Angeles Rams. So, as we know, Jamin Davis out for the season with the shoulder surgery that he just had. Curtis Hodges now done for the season. They put him on short-term IR, but it's 4 games left. So if you're on short-term IR, that means your season's done, right? Only 4 games left, and you have to be on IR for 4 weeks. You do the math. So he's done. Brian Robinson out of this game with a hamstring injury. I think we all assumed that would be the case. I thought he was done for the season, to be honest with you. So him just on a week-to-week basis at this point is still encouraging. And I told you him being on the side field working with trainers on Wednesday was a sight for sore eyes because, again, I didn't expect him to be back potentially with a hamstring injury. And he still may not play in another game this season. But the fact that we're on a week-to-week basis with him means his season isn't over, and he may end up coming back as soon as next week. We'll see. James Smith-Williams also out of this game. No surprise there. Sustained the injury against the Giants. And I don't think he is going to play. I expect him to be back at some point, unlike Brian Robinson, because his happened, a little bit further back, whereas Robinson's is a lot more recent. So we'll see. James Smith-Williams out of this game, however, his fourth straight game that he will miss. Tyler Larson will play in the game on Sunday. Sadiq Charles, as I mentioned, activated, will play on Sunday. Emmanuel Forbes, as we already knew, we were told that if there were a game last week, he would have been able to play. So we know, barring some type of setback, there wasn't one this week. He's going to play. He has been fitted for a brace, so when you see him on the field, he will be wearing a brace. And he talked about this injury. It's his first major injury of his career, and it wasn't even, I say it wasn't a serious injury, but he did miss some time, obviously. But he's never really been injured in his career. So it's major to him, and we'll see how he deals with wearing the elbow brace, but he will be out on the field, which is good news. We need to see this guy out there. He needs to play. Even if he's getting cooked, he needs the reps. And then Charles Leno Jr. hip, he's going to play in the game as well. So nothing here surprising from the Commanders. Nothing here moves the needle. We kind of knew everything that was happening this week. As we go to the Rams side of things, there is a surprise with the Rams here. Tutu Atwell practiced yesterday. Even if it's a limited basis, I'm shocked. I just expected him to miss this game. He still may not play, but the likelihood is if he's on a limited basis, chances are that he's going to be able to make it back and play in this game. And again, he's a guy that scares me because any speed whatsoever scares me shitless, because we just don't seem to handle speed well. You go all the way back to week 2 against the Broncos and their rookie from Oklahoma who scorched us in that game, not just as a receiver but also as a punt returner. Tutu Atwell has that same type of ability, and so I would have been really happy had he not played, even though Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua can get behind our defense. You don't have to be a Blazer to get behind our defense. A.J. Brown is not a Blazer, and he stays behind our defense, it feels like. So Tutu Atwell potentially playing could be problematic. It could be something. It could be nothing. But I just expected him to miss the game. And here it is. He may play. Rob Havenstein is probably going to be out of this game. We'll see. Friday practice could alter. Obviously they're on the West Coast. So at the recording of this video, none of this has been decided by the Rams. So my guess is Rob Havenstein is going to be out. But again, I've seen DMP Wednesday, DMP Thursday, and then, limited practice Friday and questionable, and then they ultimately play. Right, so we've seen these things happen before. Everybody else, Higbee, Michael Hoyt, Ben Skoranek, and Quentin Lake, all guys that I told you, back on Wednesday, I expected these guys to play. Nothing has changed. I expect all of those players to suit up for the Rams on Sunday. So we go from there to the game plan. And I've already kind of laid this out throughout the course of the week. I've kind of done everything that I needed to do. I feel like I've laid the groundwork for everything here as far as how I think this game's going to go. I will say this. It is imperative that we score on one of the first 2 possessions. It'd be great if we scored on both of them. But this is how I know. This is the indicator that I've been given, and I've told you guys this. This is how I know we're going to be competitive in the game or not. Or if we're going to be watching it the entire time disappointed as we're getting our ass handed to us. If we score on the first possession or the second possession, doesn't matter, touchdown, field goal, does not matter. We're going to be competitive that day. If we do not score on the first or second possession of the game, the likelihood is not impossible, okay? But the likelihood is we're going to get our asses reamed, okay? And you could go through the entire schedule and see for yourself, but the proof is in the pudding. And I could do it right now with you. Week 1 against Arizona, we scored on the second possession, okay? Week 2 against Denver, we scored on the second possession. We actually should have scored on the first possession, but they missed the field goal operation was janky. We missed the field goal. We went back down on the second possession, got a field goal. Remember, we felt like we were moving the ball in that game. We just couldn't protect Sam, and we were doing dumb stuff. But the Broncos were scoring touchdowns. That was the difference. So it made our little field goal feel insignificant. But we scored on the second possession. Week 3 against Buffalo, obviously we didn't score to the very end of the game. We were in danger of being shut out of that game. So you know how that one went. Week 4, we scored on the first 2 or 3 possessions against Philadelphia on the road. Right, went right down on the first possession. It was as clean of a first possession as we probably had all season long in terms of, well, they had some penalties too that helped us on that first possession. I lied. The first possession against Philadelphia in Washington was probably the cleanest first possession that we had all season long, is my guess. But nonetheless, we scored on the first 2 or 3 possessions against Philadelphia in week 4. Week 5 against the Bears, we came up goose eggs in the first 2 possessions. You saw what happened there. Week 6 on the road against Atlanta, we scored on, I think, almost... No, we didn't score on every single possession in the first half. It felt like it, but I think we scored on all but 1 possession in the first half. So we definitely scored on... I think we scored a field goal on the opening possession. If not, definitely scored on the second possession of the game. Week 7 against the Giants, we know how that went. It was 14-0 at halftime. We barely moved the football until the end of the third quarter, so you know how that went. Week 8, again, clean operation. We scored on the first 3 possessions of that game. If we would have scored on the 4th, we were up 17-3 with 4th and 1 in Eagles territory. If we convert, we're probably going to win that game going away. We were dominating the Eagles, obviously. We did not get it done, but we're very competitive in that game. Week 9, Patriots, we scored, I believe, on the opening possession of that game, a field goal. If not, we scored on the second with the Brian Robinson touchdown run to the outside. So one or the other. I think we jumped on them 10-0, and then we had the B-Rob fumble, right? And that allowed New England to get back into the game. And so it was 10-0. I think we scored a field goal on the opening possession and a touchdown on the second possession. It looked like we were going to run away with that game. So that was week 9. Week 10 was the Seattle game. And obviously you had the Sam scramble, hit B-Rob, touchdown, first possession of the game, just like that. Bam. Oh, this is going to be fun, right? And it was. Unfortunately, we didn't get it done because the defense once again let us down. But not because the offense didn't show up, not because we didn't score, because we scored on the first possession of the game. So that was the extent of it. I don't think we've scored on the first or second possession in any of the last 3 games, which is why you've seen the outcomes be what they have been. The Giants game, we didn't score in the first. There was no score, I think, from either team in the first quarter. If somebody scored, it was the Giants. But I remember we struggled out of the gate in that game, and hence the outcome being what it was. The next week, it was Dallas on Thanksgiving. We know how that went. We moved the football, which was the crazy part. We possessed the football. We won time of possession in the first half. Problem was the Cowboys just didn't need a lot of time to score. We did score a touchdown, and we did score a field goal, but again, those points didn't happen on the first or second possession, and that's when I knew, this isn't going to go well. And we moved the ball, and we just didn't complete those drives. And Rivera, remember, I was pissed off because on both of those first 2 drives, we had a chance to go for it on 4th down, and they were very manageable 4th downs. The second one being a 4th and 4 in Dallas territory. The first one was right around midfield. I think we might have been in our own territory. So, and it was 4th and 6. So you get the punt, even I was like, what are we doing here? Bro, what do you got to lose? You're not going to win this game against Dallas 20-17. Playing the field position game. Our defense sucks. Just go for it. Whether you punt it down to the 1 and down, or they go 99 yards and score, or they get it at the Washington 49 and they go there, they're going to score regardless. Just go for it. But whatever. We didn't score in the first 2 possessions. Ron bitched up on us like always and didn't go for it on the second possession when it was 4th and very manageable. 4th and 3, 4th and 2, 4th and 4, something like that. He punts, and the rest is history. Obviously, we know how that game turned out. And in the Dolphins game, clearly we didn't score the first 2 possessions of that game either. And that one got ugly quick. So, look, the proof is in the pudding. We score on one of the first 2 possessions of the game. So I'm telling you right now, you know how this is going to go. If we score any points on the first 2 possessions, this is going to be a fun game. You're going to be able to watch this one and walk away with your head held high, okay? There will be some positive takeaways and some things you can chew on and not feel like you're about to choke and gag, all right? Pause for some of you. If we don't score in the first 2 possessions, understand that there's probably an onslaught waiting for us around the corner. And it may not happen in the first quarter. It may not happen in the second quarter. Hell, it may not happen in the third quarter, but at some point, we're going to get our asses handed to us. Just like the Cowboys game. All right? Wasn't the first quarter, wasn't the second quarter, wasn't the third quarter, but boy, did they hand us our ass in a damn gift bag in the fourth quarter, right? You just don't know when these things are going to happen, but trust me, if we don't score in the first two possessions, it's probably going to happen. Again, no guarantees, all right? Like Chico the Barge, no guarantees. However, the likelihood is very high if we don't score in the first two possessions. It doesn't end well for the good guys. So that's really the biggest thing that I'm looking for. I've already talked to you about the things that we need to do to have a chance in this game. You have to contain the run game. First and foremost, they've been running the hell out of the football with Kyren Williams. You're going to have to contain him. If you can't contain him, it's going to be a long day at the office for the Commanders. Point blank, end of discussion. Next thing you have to do is you have to at least acknowledge that Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua are grade A top choice threats at the receiver position and treat them as such. If you treat them the way you did Tyreek Hill, it'll be a long day again for us, and it'll be, instead of death by 1,000 cuts, they'll just chop our heads off like it's a guillotine and get it over with very quickly. So, just like the Dolphins did. I'd prefer death by 1,000 cuts, personally. If you're going to make me watch for 3 hours, let's just a death by 1,000 cuts, please. Okay? If Cooper Kupp has to have 11 catches to get 113 yards, so be it. Don't let him have 4 catches for 106 yards. Don't let Puka Nacua have 6 catches for 137 yards and 2 touchdowns. Come on, guys. Get with the program. We know who they are. We know the players. We know the names. We know their capabilities. Let's do something about it, please. On the other side of the football, it's Aaron Donald, Aaron Donald, Aaron Donald, Aaron Donald, and Aaron Donald. Yeah, the guy that everybody this week has been saying he's a future Hall of Famer, first ballot, all that good stuff. Yeah, let's not forget about him and let him have 4 sacks like he did the last time we played him. It'd be really nice if we just followed the playbook from the Ravens, which is on every play, 4 hands should be touching him, if not 6 or 8. That seems like a winning recipe to me. But again, we don't do the little things correctly, so somehow he's going to get singled up on one of our interior offensive linemen. Lord help us if it's Tyler Larson. And somehow he's going to manage to get to the quarterback because that's what we do. Make me wrong. Prove me wrong, okay? I want to be wrong. Please. I don't think I'm wrong. And then, honestly, on the offensive or on the Washington side of things, I fully expect Sam Howell to play well. I expect 2 touchdown passes for him. I expect him to remind everybody of why we feel like he's the franchise guy and the guy moving forward, why we don't need to draft a quarterback, why we should be building around Sam and his rookie contract and looking forward to the future with 14 as our signal caller. I think he's going to make some really eye-popping plays, as we know he's fully capable of. He's going to use his legs to extend. I think he's going to be really, really good within the framework of the offense, timing and rhythm, getting the ball out of his hands. And I think we're going to see Terry get some touches in this game. I mean, we've talked about it for now 3 weeks straight of his lack of involvement in the offense. He even went out of his way to say, and maybe Eric Bieniemy is petty enough to say, oh, so you think you ran cardio last time? Well, I got some cardio for your ass. All right, got some real cardio for you this week. Maybe he's petty enough to do that, but I think we're going to actually see Terry be involved this week, as well as Curtis and Jahan, and I think you're going to see this offense, without Brian Robinson, still function as a formidable NFL offense. And I think we're going to be competitive for 3.5 quarters, and then the game's going to get away from us late. I've already explained to you all of this, so my outcome shouldn't be much of a surprise because I gave it to you yesterday. I think we're going to lose this game 33-20. I think this is a 26-20 game. Right around the 11 to 10 minute mark, the Rams are going to possess the football, and they're going to have a 5-6 minute drive that caps off and culminates in a Kyren Williams 2-yard touchdown run that's going to push the lead out to 33-20, and that's going to be the nail in the coffin. And again, We're going to lose this game by double figures. The Rams are 6.5-point favorites. They're going to cover the spread, but we're going to be competitive in this game, and it won't get away from us until the very bitter end. And so I think that's how this game goes. What says you? Leave it down in the comment section. Are the Commanders going to be competitive in this game? We just watched a team fold up the tent, like completely pack their things up and leave their head coach and general manager out to dry, and both of them were fired today by the Los Angeles Chargers. Brandon Staley and Tom Telesco shown the door, given their pink slips after a 63-21 ass thrashing at the hands of the Las Vegas Raiders. Even if we lost 63-21 in this game, nothing's going to happen. I hope you guys understand that. Like, I saw tweets and things like, hey, if you know, I had a premonition, and you know, we lost to the Rams 42-13, and Ron was fired the next day. If they were going to do that, they would have done it prior to the bye. Like, get your heads wrapped around that. There's no blowout that's going to be embarrassing enough to move Josh Harris. He's already told us multiple times. People keep hearing what they want to hear. He's told us multiple times we're not making wholesale changes until after the season is done. So stop clamoring for this change that's not going to do anything, you know, other than appease a few in the fan base that want something done for aesthetics. Firing Brandon Staley doesn't change anything. The Chargers are going to suck just as much as they did on Thursday next week when they take the field against Buffalo. Nothing's going to change. They're going to suck again next week too, okay? Not because they've promoted one of their assistant GMs to the GM spot, you know, on an interim basis, and not because they promoted their outside linebackers coach to interim head coach are they going to change anything. They are still going to suck with Easton Stick at quarterback. Okay? And that's the same thing here. Moving on from Ronald Rivera and promoting whomever isn't going to change the fact that this team isn't very good right now. So, and we're not going to lose this game 42-13. That part too. But anyway, what says you? Maybe you think we're going to lose the game 42-13. Leave it down in the comment section. We haven't scored 20 points or more since the Seahawks game. That changes here. We're going to get to 20 in this game. You know what's crazy is we started out this season with such hope for this offense, and it came out of the gates swinging. We scored 30-plus points in 2 of the first 4 games, and we thought, here we go. We're on that rocket ship to the damn scoring moon. Here we come. And, you know, we've had our moments, we've had our weeks, but for the most part, the offense is back to where it was last year. Struggling to score, struggling to find consistency, struggling to find the end zone. I think that may change in this game. I think we'll see a little bit more of what we saw earlier in the season in this game. And I think we'll be very competitive until the end. So that's what I think is going to take place. Again, what says you? Leave it down in the comment section. So that's going to do it for me, your man Louie T. I thank you guys for joining me here on Commanders Nightly News. You know what it is. Post up. Take command. I will be live later on tonight for the Louie T Network podcast. I will be live tomorrow after these games. I think I'll package the first 2 together, and then we'll be live for the nightcap after the final game of the night. So you'll be seeing my face all weekend long. We got Saturday football. That is always a sign that the season is nearing the end, which is always bittersweet for me. But nonetheless, and you know where to find me post game after Rams Commanders. You'll find me right here on the Louie T Network, where you always do. Win, lose, or ass whooping, I'll be here. So you guys enjoy your weekend, and I hope to see you after the game. If not, I get it. I totally understand. But either way, I'll see you next time. Have a good one.
Here comes the diesel. Here comes the diesel. There's the snap, hand to Riggins. Good hole. He's got the first down to the 40. He's gone. The 35, the 30, the 20.